Howdy, howdy. It's been a while since I've seen y'all. Almost a year. Had shoulder surgery. Gonna have to have another one. Great. So, I can't pick deer up. Can't do it no more. So I decided to buy something to help me out. It's called the Viking Industries L-E-Vator. Spelled L-E, L-E-V-A-T-O-R. Supposed to be like a handheld fork truck, so to say. Fold flat, all that good stuff. Well, I'm going to review this thing. And, kind of on the fence with it, but hey, the money's spent, so going to have to use it. Going to modify this thing, I can promise you that. So here we go. Here is the Viking Industries L-E-Vator. Viking Solutions, I'm sorry. But that's it right there. Pretty simple. A frame, foot, arms. All of it folds up. That folds down. When you put a load on it, these cables, that's what tensions it up and keeps the spine straight, and then you got your winch. Alright, I'm going to point out what I don't like. Right here, yeah, there we go. Right here, we got pins. And we got cotter pins. There's no need for that. This thing does not need to be torn down. It folds up. That is nothing but, I'm going to cheap out on something is all that is. I'm going to replace those with bolts like they should be. These little rollers that roll up and down here, and we'll see if y'all can see, these little rollers, they are two-piece. Curious to see how long that's going to last. We're going to put it to the test. May end up having to put some solid rollers on there. Might even had to make them myself out of some Teflon on the lathe. But it is what it is. And those pins, they're down at the bottom too. There's no reason for that to have pins. There's no reason for it to come back apart once you put it together. So I'm going to put bolts on all of it. Let's see, that's 2, 4, 6 bolts. I'll get 6 bolts and put in there. Then the winch and the way the winch is mounted. I'm not a fan of that. Okay, you can see this winch came fully spooled. The problem with that is, you see the way the winch lift works. It runs down, it just rides along the frame there. I'm not a fan of that at all. But they had so much line on there that if I did use it on a heavy deer, since it can only spool up in one position, and there's really no way to help it to a different position, you know, you can't run it, you can't wait, the way it's sitting with the tension there, you can't run it back and forth and run it back and forth and kind of level wind it out like it should be. So with all the line that was on it, it was going to cut into itself when you put a load on it. So I took and I removed most of the line. See how that thing works. Well, and there's the problem. As you can see, the anchor point for this cable is on this side. Well, the tension point's on this side. So that tail right there that ankles the winch line is going to catch every time. See, pop it loose. And see, we're spooling back down. It rubs against itself. There's no way to operate this thing without that winch line binding on something. So I'm not a big fan of that. That's going to have to change. I'm going to have to make a plate or something and take this winch, lift it up, rotate it over, and then run the cable out from this side over this guide bar, which would be a little bit better than what it is. Not the best winch in the world. I might even go, this is going to sound funny, I might go to Harbor Freight and upgrade the winch to something a little bit better than that. I mean, it'll do the job. It's plenty of winch for lifting deer and lifting whatever into the back of the truck, as long as not going over 300 pounds. It'll work for that, but it just could be better. So we're going to make it better. And that's how it is as of now. I will be putting it to the test. We're going to load some deer. Deer season's already open. Would have went this morning, but I believe I got a bad hamburger from Hardee's yesterday. Made for a long night last night. Is what it is. So, as you can see, I mean, the principle is there. It works. The idea is not bad. I think the execution is a bit lacking. And the test is really going to be when I start throwing deer on it and lifting it up to the back of the four-wheeler or the back of the truck. And me and my buddy Mark, we're going to hopefully work the crap out of this thing this deer season, since I missed deer season last year because of my bad shoulder. So I'm putting off my next shoulder surgery till after deer season. I ain't missing it again. So until we shoot one, we shall be continued on this thing here. And I may make some improvements between now and then. I don't know. But the improvements that I do make, I'll highlight them, show you what I got going on, and we're going to find out if this deer L-E-Vator is really worth it. I don't know. I ain't sold yet. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I've done. These little cheap pins that were held in place with cotter pins that had way too much play, just a cheap way out that they went. I replaced those with some proper bolts and nuts, and not just any nut. These are staked lock nuts. I've got them tightened down to the point of no play, but not to the point of binding anything. They'll hold a good bit better. It certainly isn't as shaky as it was. I still need to tackle this issue. I don't like the way that winch is mounted. I think it should be rotated this way, so we're coming, actually rotated that way, so we're coming over, at least over that pin there. So I might run out to the barn real quick and see what I can slap together for that. See if we can make an improvement on the way that winch runs. And I still may get a different winch, because this one is a very cheap one. I don't like the way that the cable locks in on it. So yeah, there's where we're at. Been working, hadn't been able to go put a deer on it yet. But doe season opens up Monday, which is tomorrow. But guess what? I get to go back on night shift Monday and Tuesday. So Wednesday I might actually put something on here and we'll get it tested out. Whether it's a doe or a buck, we'll see. More than likely it's probably going to be a doe to start with, because I got a family that I help take care of from time to time, and I'll get them a 1 or 2 doe every year. So most likely this is going to be first try is going to be a doe, probably about 130, 140 pounds, something like that. We shall see. Okay, this is what I got. I'm definitely going to upgrade that winch. Probably go get me one tomorrow. Maybe this afternoon. I don't know. That one's a piece of junk. Anyway, here we go. Bolts instead of pins. Made that bracket out of scrap that I had laying around up under the workbench. Ain't pretty, but she'll work. I think it's going to get beat all to hell anyway. So that puts the winch in a bit better position. Now we're not dragging across the front of the frame there. Got a little pin in the front of the winch that it guides over a lot smoother. I can control how it winds up now. So we're going to put it to the test this week, most likely, I hope. And like I said, it's a good product, good idea, poorly executed. You got to do a little bit of work. And you see, I'm probably going to change those rollers out to something a little different. I don't like that split roller thing going on there. seems like it will be excessive wear. But yeah, just some mess I had laying around in the barn, and we slapped it together, and this ought to save my shoulder a lot of trouble. So hopefully the next shot on this video is this thing gonna be picking up a deer and putting it on the back of the four-wheeler. So we shall see. Okay, after some more testing, I have changed up a little bit on this deer lifter upper thingy. Using my calibrated test weight, examples including my grandson standing on it, that wire rope just kept binding in on itself really bad. Made it a pain in the butt to work going up and down, so I got lucky. I just happened to have a strap that's made for a boat trailer tongue for the winch on the boat trailer, but someone gave it to me. It's not big enough for my boat, so it's just been laying around. I took the wire rope off because it just binds up too much, and I put the strap on there. Now I did have to cut some of the length off the strap because it was a 25 footer, and that is definitely not a 25-foot spool. Also, this spool is not made for a strap, so I ended up having to drill through the shaft, put two little small bolts that I had on hand, very small. These things aren't but about 3 millimeters. Run them through, bolt it up. So, you know, I'm never going to operate this thing to the bottom of the spool. You know, it's just going to be right here to right there. So I'm not worried about it slipping because it's going to lock down on itself. So there we go. That's my final iteration. Yeah, we're going to try to use some proper English. If this don't work, I'm going to scrap the whole idea, throw it in the trash, and write off my $160 that I got in it. If it does work, great. Because my old bum shoulder just, I don't know, getting older sucks. I used to be able to have a surgery and bounce right back to it, but this shoulder's giving me a run for my money, to say the least. So here we go. Next step is to test it on an actual deer and not my grandson. So we shall see if this is the ticket. We shall see if it's not the ticket. Until then, next time I see you, hopefully there'll be a deer on this thing. Okay, not a big deer. And by now, it has been a year since I've uploaded a video. Deer season this year has been pretty daggone slow. I don't know why, but hey, my motto for this morning was, if it's brown, it's down, because I'm out of meat and freezing. So now we're fixing to see if my modifications has made this thing worth buying. So here we go. Alright, he's on there. Let's see if it'll pick him up. Not a big buck by a long shot. Look at there. There's a big bunch of blood coming out of that head. Well, I think this thing might be the bee's knees. Let me reposition the four-wheel, load it up. Yeah, that's a hell of a lot easier on my shoulder. Let's reposition this thing. That's the way to go. I like it. But if you buy one, you got to do some modification to make it worth it. All right, let's get him to the processor. Yeah, I'm lazy. I don't do that work myself. Let somebody else do it that's got the tools. I'll let y'all later. Well, it works just like I wanted it to. It'll work like it originally came, but it'll work better if you modify it. Less friction and all that, more direct lift and whatever. I'm happy with it. I think it's a decent investment, especially to save my aging bones. It has been a year. Yeah, a year since I have uploaded anything. Life happens. I don't do this for a living, but I will be working on that. We got some projects we're going to work on over the winter. Well, y'all have a good one. I'm going to get into something else, more than likely a honeydew. I'll let y'all later. Bye.